Hello, Kurt Jackson, Retirement Income Strategist with KJ Financial here with this week's Your Money Matters. This week, I found an article in Time Magazine called The Real Reasons Americans Aren't Saving Enough for Retirement. Had some good information, had some information I don't necessarily agree with, which shouldn't surprise any of you that follow me. But basically, I'll kind of give you a highlight of what it talked about. It says retirement savers are facing challenges on multiple fronts. And when it comes to saving for retirement, most American workers are not only falling short, they don't even know how behind they are. What's more disturbing, research shows that savings trends are getting worse despite a decades-long push to enroll workers in 401ks and other employer plans. Now, I think it's great that they're trying to get people to save for retirement. But if you followed any of the stuff that I put out, any of my writings, any of my videos, if you've ever talked to me, you know I'm huge against the whole concept, the way that not the concept, but the way 401ks and employer plans, 403bs, 457 plans, even IRAs are designed. I'm 100% against how they're designed because I don't think they're designed for the retiree. They're designed more for Wall Street and the government. And I've gone over that ad nauseum, it seems like. The retirement disconnect is highlighted from a new survey by Transamerica Center for Retirement Studies, which includes responses from 4,550 full-time and part-time workers between the ages of 18 to over 65. Overall, some 59% reported, now this is funny, 59% report that they're somewhat or very confident that they're going to retire comfortably. But when you start to dissect the data, we're not quite sure where they're coming up with that. To maintain this comfortable living standard, more than half think they're going to need at least $1 million saved by retirement. 29% think they're going to need $2 million. And these targets have increased in recent years because back in a 2011 Transamerica study, the savings goal they thought they needed was $600,000. So I don't know if people are just thinking that they're going to have more because the market's done well since 2009, or if they're really researching it. My guess is they just think that they're doing better because the market's been up. So how much these workers got socked away? Overall, the typical worker savings account held $63,000. Okay, it's a long ways from $1 million or $2 million. Now that is up from $43,000 in 2012, but it's far from what's needed for most folks. In fact, even among baby boomer households, who are the closest to retirement, the median account value was $132,000. Right, so that means half had less, half had more. Right? I've seen some other statistics, and it's hard to find accurate ones, but I've read that somewhere like 14% of current retirees have $250,000 or more in retirement savings, and only 8% have $500,000 or more. So while they may think $1 million or $2 million, very, very, very few people have anywhere near that amount, which is also another scary thing to think about. So given these relatively meager savings, you well wonder how workers could be so optimistic about their golden years. Well, part of the reason is that long-running bull market that we've talked about, but which has come out of the financial ravages. But now, is there any certainty that bull market's going to continue? I mean, I hate that they base everything off of this. Well, the market's going to, well, the market went up from 1983 to 1999, right? You know why? Because more and more people were getting in the market that had never gotten in the market. Because in 1983 is when the 401k started to come about. So people started getting in the market. So there was a whole, but that has done, it leveled off in at the end of 99, 2000, 2002, we saw a huge drop, saw a big run up. Then 2007, 2009, we saw a big drop. I'm more and more economists think we have another one coming, and it seems like I've shared this stat before. Since 1900, the market has experienced an average 47% loss every 11 years. Okay, so unless you're locking in your gains when the market's up, you're never really getting ahead. Okay, they keep trying to tell us. In fact, on here somewhere. 56% say that they've bounced back fully or partially. All right, well, if they really look at how much money they keep putting in, okay, if you look at what the market's done since 2000, when you factor in fees and you factor in inflation, we're still behind, and we're almost 16 years later. So one of the things I talk about is, they say when you're young, you can afford losses. All right, if we're 16 years and we're not even back to even, okay, how many years do you work? You might work 40 or 45. So you're telling me that you can go a full third of your working life and not be back up after a loss? I don't know how that even factors in. I don't know how you can say that you can afford to lose at any time. So the alternative strategies we use have a floor, right? So when we're not in the market, we share in market gains up to a point, a cap, or there's several different ways of structuring it. But what ends up happening is there's a floor, so you never lose, and what we lock in the gain. So every penny you put in and every penny you gain is locked in and protected. So you have a stair-step effect. Now you may have some landings where it's flat for a while, like we would have from 2000 to 2002, 2007 to 2009. When the market was down, you're flat, but since you're locking in your gains, you're actually realizing those gains. Whereas in the market, it's funny how when you're down, your stockbroker, your financial advisor says, well, the only way you lock in these losses is if you sell. Well, no, you've lost the money, all right? Because if you went to get it, it's not there. But it's funny how when they're up, they're not talking about how the only way that you're going to lock in those gains is to sell, right? But that's true. The only way you're going to lock in those gains. I just talked with a guy the other day. He was up twice as high as he is now, right? But he didn't lock in those gains, so now he's back down. It's crazy that they've brainwashed us into thinking that way, and that's what I call it. I call it brainwashing because it's whenever I talk with people, they're like, well, yeah, but the market's going to come back. Well, it might, and it probably will, but that doesn't mean you're going to. Are you going to lock in and pull your gains out when you're up? No, you're not, right? Because we're not taught to do that. We're taught to buy and hold. So, all right, so back to this. It's also likely that workers simply don't understand what they need to meet their goals. More than 53% said they guessed. Okay, when they asked how much they estimated they needed to save for retirement. 2/3 acknowledge they don't know as much as they should about retirement investment. 27% say that saving for retirement is their greatest financial priority. 21% said just getting by is their greatest financial priority, and 20% said paying off debt. The typical worker saves just 8% of their salary, while most experts recommend 15% or more. All right, so it's kind of just pointing things out. I know it's probably not obvious to you. It's obvious to me because I deal with this all the time. But let me ask you some questions. So when we're thinking about our retirement money, should we be focusing on how much in assets that we're creating, or should we focus on how much income that's going to create? Or should we be focusing on how much income we can create? Do you know how much $1 million would create in income? Well, the traditional 4% withdrawal rule that I'm surprised more people haven't heard of, because that's what Wall Street's always talked about. So you can take 4% out, adjust it up for inflation, have a good chance of not outliving your money. That's $40,000 a year out of $1 million, right? Well, some more recent studies suggest with low interest rates, the volatility of the market, that 4% rate will run out of money 57 to 99% of the time. I don't think anybody's comfortable with that. When they first started doing this 25 years ago, they thought that the chance to run out was 18 to 30%, which to me, that's high. I don't know if it is to you or not. The new safe money amount is below 3%. I've seen it at 2.3%. I've seen it at 2.58%. If it's 2.58, that's 25,800 out of $1 million. That's a far cry from 40,000. Right? Some people want to live off the interest, right? So what are banks paying? If they're paying 0.5% or 1%, think about that. If they're paying 0.5%, that's $5,000 a year in income off $1 million. Okay, it's $10,000 if it's 1%. Is that enough to live off? All right. Would it be smart to be estimating, go in and kind of figure out how much income we think we're going to need? Look at our lifestyles today. Is that what we're going to try to maintain? Adjust for inflation to how far it is until you're at retirement, and kind of get an idea, at least of a baseline number to live on, right? Live a minimal existence, because we want to at least do that. We never really want to be poor. We want to be able to not have to worry about paying our bills and feeding ourselves, right? The play stuff is different. A lot of us want that in retirement. I think all of us want that in retirement. We just may not be able to afford it. So should we figure out what we need there and build towards that? That's what we try to do with our clients. Would it be smarter to establish that base amount and make sure that we guarantee that for life, and that we also include adjustments up to help keep up with the increasing cost of life, costs to live? If Social Security is going to be a big part of our retirement. It's too big of a part for a lot of people. But if we could optimize it, let's say it took $125,000 of your assets from age 62 to 70 to be able to optimize Social Security. So now you don't have to fork out $300, $400, maybe $500,000 in your money to make up for the amount of Social Security that you gave up because you did not optimize it or did not maximize it. Would it make sense to look at something like that? If your $1 million was fully taxable and also created an unnecessary tax up to $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, maybe as high as $7,000 or more in unnecessary tax on your Social Security because of where you had your money. Would you want to know about that now so you might be able to make some changes with that? If you could create a tax-free income, okay, that would you could that is in a better position, a more efficient position, so you could take a higher withdrawal amount and never worry about outliving it, and it didn't create taxes on your Social Security. So you literally needed a lot less money in order to live the same lifestyle. Wouldn't that be easier to get to? Or if you still had that amount, that higher amount, wouldn't you be able to play more or to leave more to your kids or to do more? What about the potential cost of extended care? Does your current plan cover for that? Don't think that Medicare is going to cover it. Some of you are going to go, well, you know, Medicaid will take care of me. Well, no, in order for you to have Medicaid, you have to spend your assets down to a ridiculous level. And in 29 states right now, they have what they call filial laws. So if the depletion of your assets and what you leave after it doesn't pay your Medicaid bill, in 29 states right now, they can go after your kids to pay that bill. All right. Do you think the number that there's going to be more or less states in the future that are going to do that? Doesn't it make sense that there's going to be more? I mean, there's not enough tax dollars to go around to do all the things that they're promising. I saw, and I'm not sure how accurate these things are. Bernie Sanders is starting to surge in the polls on the Democratic side, making promises to everybody, you know, free this, free that. Well, nothing's free. Folks, the stuff that he's talking about doing is going to cost $18 trillion. That's about what our current debt is. Okay, so he wants to spend more money that we don't have. So do you think that Medicaid is going to have more money or less money? Less money, right? So if they've got less money, are they going to be looking for ways to collect more? Well, if 29 states can already collect from your kids, what about the rest of those 21? And I guess we'll add D.C. in there too. So those 21, 22 other states, are they going to be able to, are they going to end up invoking these filial laws and going after your kids if you have a Medicaid bill at the end of your life? Okay? Think about this, folks. It's stuff that we don't think about, but we need to. So, I'm going to kind of try to summarize all this up. So, when we talk about retirement savings, people are just kind of blindly thinking, I throw some money in my 401k and I'll be fine. I don't know that that's going to be the case. Would it make sense to make sure that you know what you're going to have? 53% of people are just guessing. All right? Have you run the numbers? Have you sat down with your financial guy and actually run the numbers, not just say, oh, I'm putting this money away? Have you sat down and said, what am I going to need to retire on? What's this going to create? If you haven't, maybe it's time to do that. Okay? I'll tell you this, what we do is a lot different than almost probably 96, 97% of other advisors, because we're focusing on what's important, the income, and the most efficient way of doing that. So we're trying to reduce taxes, we're trying to reduce fees, trying to reduce, if not eliminate, losses. We're doing it in a much more efficient manner. Would it be worth spending a little bit of time to look into it? One of the things that's funny that people say when they sit down and talk to me and they find out what we're doing, they're saying, Kurt, why isn't everybody doing this? And all I can say is everybody that understands it is. And I hope that means something. I hope that resonates with you. I hope that kind of sticks in your craw a little bit. So let's have a friendly conversation. Let's talk about what we do, how we do things differently. If you like what you hear and we want to move forward, we'll move forward. If not, hey, at least you've educated yourself to figure out whether what we're talking about makes sense or not. So, hey, thanks for tuning in. If you find value in these, please share the link with your friends, family, anybody that you care about, and make sure. And we've got this is our 43rd, if I remember right, 43rd episode of Your Money Matters. So we've got 42 others before, and we try to do these each and every week when I've got the time to do it. So, if you have any topics you'd like to hear, email me. My information's up there on the screen. If not, if you want to talk, my direct line's up on the screen. They're 816-582-5532. It's the best number to get me at. Give me a call. Let's have a conversation and see if what we do might fit with what you want to have in your life. Have a great day. Good luck to you.